Hey everyone, I'm back. I've got another 5 straps of singles to go through. I picked these up from the bank. I've already gone through them, so I'll save you the time of having to watch me needlessly go through each and every single one, and I'll show you what I picked out. Normally I start off with a tip, and the tip that I'm going to show you this week is something that I found and may be a little entertaining for you as well. When you go through the number of bills that I go through, you're going to find a bunch of them that are stamped. Well, that have all kinds of different stamps, I should say. This particular one, as you can see, says track this bill at www.where'sgeorge.com. That's one example of the stamp there. You can see it like that. I also found one that is stamped this way. Which way is it? This way. See where I've been at www.george.com. What you do is you simply go to that website, enter the serial number, and put in your zip code. And what it does is it tells you where this bill has been. It also notifies the previous owner of this bill where it came from and where it's heading to next. If someone else finds your bill, they'll send a message, hopefully, and you'll know where that bill has been going. There's been some debate whether or not this is considered defacing money, so I'm not going to tell you that you should stamp bills, nor am I going to tell you to write anything on a bill. However, if you do come across a bill that somebody has written on, well, the information's already there. Might as well put it in the computer. Like I said, with the number of bills that I happen to go through, I tend to come across these bills quite a bit, so I make sure that anytime I see one, I always input them. Now to some of my other stuff. This was one of the more interesting serial numbers that I came across. At first, it didn't hit me, but then I started looking at it, and I noticed it was a 1. Followed by 542, followed by 542, followed by another 1. So it's kind of a repeater with a 1 for a bookend. Thought it was interesting, didn't see too many like it, so I pulled it out to show. In this particular batch of bills, there weren't a whole lot of old bills. You can see this was my oldest bill, another 1995, same as last time when I did the pulls. I believe I've got two 1995s. And I always save any bill that's pre-2000 just because they're getting harder and harder to find. And I believe this starts my star notes. I found quite a few star notes in this batch here. I have to go through them to find out to make sure none of these are ultra rare. But there was 1, 2, a lot of the B's, 3, 4, 5, more New York B's, 6, 7. So 7 star notes out of those 5 straps. That was a pretty good pull. I also managed to find a number of trinaries. This one almost was a binary, 6, and then there's that 4 in there. Other than that, it's 116661. So 1, 4, and 6 are the only numbers in that particular one. It does have an ink mark here from one of the tellers stamping it. I'll probably send this one back into circulation, but it was one that I pulled anyway, so I figured I'd let you guys see it. Another interesting trinary. This one's really crisp. It's in nice shape. 1s, 0s, and 7s are the only numbers you're going to find on this one. Another trinary. This one is 1s, 6s, and 7s. Now for one of my more interesting pulls. You don't come across these too often. It's I don't know what you would call it. I guess a doubler. 1 1, 8 8, 2 2, 3 3. Definitely not something you come across. You come across a lot of one-offs on here, where you'll have like 1 1, 8 8, 2 7, 3 3. So to find one that's all doubled like this, that's a good pull. That's something that you just don't get to see. And finally, this was just one of the other older ones that I'd found. This one was 1999. Like I said, I pull all bills that are prior to the year 2000. They're getting harder and harder to find. And, well, it's an important piece of history, I think. Speaking of important pieces of history, I always try to pull some stuff from my bigger collection. And with history being the last note, we will start off with my Confederate currency. I have money from the Confederate States of America. This is a $100 bill. You can see that the serial number right up here is handwritten. These signatures, these bills are actually signed. This is from October 1862. Once again, there's the serial number handwritten. So yeah, that's a $100 bill from the Confederate States of America. Back of the bill just has the cancel stamp on it. Interest paid to. The interest was paid out on this bill in 1884 at Jackson. I'm assuming that's Jackson, Mississippi. I've got a $50 note. This one, they actually stamped the serial number, but the signatures are still both hand-signed. And this one, I believe, this is from Richmond, dated February 17th, 1864. Kind of a neat back to this one. Almost looks like Monopoly money. A little bit of a smudge, but it's 170 years old or so. Here's a $20 bill from the Confederate States of America. Once again, you can see the number is handwritten, hand-signed. Also from February 17th, 1864. Another signature here. I look at these as actual historical documents rather than money because of the signatures on them and because it's from a country that technically no longer exists. The Confederate States of America doesn't exist. There's nowhere you could cash these in. By the end of the war, people were actually burning wheelbarrows full of this stuff just to keep their houses heat because inflation set in. This one is probably my nicest note. This is a $10 note from the Confederate States of America. Also dated February 17th, 1864. You can see the serial number right here, 70212. Vibrant red or vibrant pink. It's one of the brighter notes. And for its age, it's a pretty incredible find. You see a lot of them that are washed out. This one, the back isn't quite as sharp. A little bit of a pinhole over there. And that famous blue back that you see on a lot of those. When you get into the smaller denominations of Confederate currency, you can see there's a lot more wear and tear on the bills. This one's been folded over and chewed up pretty good because these bills were actually found in people's wallets. People would be carrying these around. The larger denominations wouldn't be carried around as much because, well, back in the day, $2 was enough to get you quite a bit. There'd be no need to be carrying around a $100 bill. Most of the larger bills were simply bank-to-bank transactions. So the $2 bill, the back on this one is blank, but once again chewed pretty good because it was most certainly in circulation. And finally, I have a $1 bill, definitely the worst case scenario of all of them, but nonetheless, still a $1 bill from the Confederate States of America. Still has the hand signature, serial number, date up on top. Flip this one over. Yeah, nothing on the back of this one. But yeah, not in the greatest of shape, but once again, well over 170 years old, and definitely carried in somebody's pocket during the war. Well, that's all I've got this week. Thanks everybody for tuning in. I'll see you all next week.